Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Emily and today I have my September wrap up. I have several books to talk about today, so I will try not to ramble too much. I read 9-ish books. We'll just go in order of when I read them. First up, I have Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows. Oh, I finished listening to the audiobooks at the beginning of September. Wow, it was very emotional and it was so good, and I love this series so much. Also, my sister is on Order of the Phoenix right now. She's reading them for the first time. My brother is just about finished with Deathly Hallows. My sister has no idea what happens at the end of Harry Potter, and I cannot wait for her to get there. She has no clue what she's in for with Deathly Hallows. Yeah, 5 stars. It was awesome. I cried so much listening to the last one in particular, and I can't wait to reread them again sometime in the future. I'll probably wait a couple of years, but it was so good. It was so fun to listen to them on audio as well. Next up, I finished A Darker Shade of Magic by V.E. Schwab. I finished this after the live show for Darker Shade of Read-Alongs, which I was bummed about. I couldn't go to that, but I wanted to still read it so that I could be all caught up for Gathering of Shadows, which we'll talk about later. This is good. I didn't love it as much as the first time I read it, I don't think. I was more annoyed by Lila this time, which I was surprised by because Lila is my favorite character when I read it the first time. I think part of it is I now love Rye. He's probably my favorite character, and he's not really in this at all, and I had kind of forgotten that, and I love this story for what it is, but it's very much setting up the world, and this could be a standalone. You get so much more about all the Londons and the magic systems in the second and third books, so I still think it's a great book. I still love this series so much, but I didn't love it quite as much second time around. But that's okay. Next, we're gonna go basically into all of my Contemporary-a-thon reads. Most of the books that I read this month were picks for Contemporary-a-thon, which was awesome, and I feel like I did super well with keeping up with that readathon, which I was excited about. First one I actually finished on audio, and that is Crazy Rich Asians by Kevin Kwan. And this counted for a diverse contemporary, a 5-star prediction, an author I've never read before. This sort of has orange on the cover. I can't decide if this is orange or pink. It was also in audio, although I did read some of it because I bought this partway through listening to it, but it counts for non-traditional as well. You know, I didn't love this book, I have to be honest. I was really, really excited to read this. I've been hyping this up for months, and I gotta say, I liked the movie better. I really, really did. I just felt like this book was just a lot of flaunting wealth. The way that these people live is not like an exaggeration like that. This is real life for people, and it's just kind of horrifying. I mean, the wealth disparities in our world are just disgusting to me, and so that was kind of hard. It was also very crude in some instances, and I'm not one to get upset over swearing or anything like that, but they're in a 5-minute span, the F word and the C word were used, the slur F word, and I was just kind of horrified. And it is by a horrible character who probably would say that, which is gross, but I don't know, I was not into it. I gave this 3 stars. I did like some aspect of the story, but I just feel like it makes a way better movie. I'm glad I finally read it. I don't know if I'll continue with this series, to be honest. 3 stars for Crazy Rich Asians. Next, I read a graphic novel called Halfrocentric by Julia Smith. And this one was just kind of weird. Again, this was Contemporary-a-thon and it counted for diversity, orange on the cover, non-traditional format, new to me author, and I think that's it. I just didn't really connect with this story so much. I don't know, it was kind of all over the place. I'm already kind of forgotten. I read this in one sitting pretty much because it was very short, but it was important topic, and I think some people probably really connected with the storytelling. For me, it just wasn't quite what I expected, and I don't think I was the audience for it. So I ended up rating this 2 stars, which I feel like is maybe harsh because I just don't think it was the right book for me. And again, that's totally fine. And I hope other people love it because, like I said, I think it's really important topics and tackled in an interesting way. Just one that didn't quite work for me. Next, I read Running with Lions by Julian Winters, and again, this was a contemporary-a-thon read. This one checked off diversity, had my initials on the cover, new to me author, and I think that's it. I liked this story a lot. I thought it was sweet. I think I gave it 3 or 3.5 stars. I don't know, it wasn't anything that blew me away. I was kind of bored in some parts of it. I felt like it was maybe drawn out a little bit, and there was just so much miscommunication, which is really frustrating to read, because you're like, if you just told this person this and then he told you that, you'd be fine. I thought it was great that it was a sports story that is very accepting of LGBTQIA+ folks, because I feel like that is stereotypically an arena where that is not true. It's a story of, oh my gosh, what's his name? Sebastian, who is the goalie and captain of the soccer team. His former best friend, Amir, joins the team kind of randomly in their senior year, and they sort of had a falling out, and so he is nervous that Amir is not going to listen, or they're not going to connect, and it's going to be hard as someone who's a leader on the team. That's another thing, I kind of forgot this. I just didn't really believe the hate, sort of. I don't know, it wasn't, there was no real like reason for them to not be friends anymore. It felt like, I don't know, I just didn't buy it. Like, I don't know why there's so much conflict. It didn't seem warranted. I don't know, I enjoyed it. I read it very quickly. I think I read it in like 2 days. And I would definitely read more of Julian Winters' books. It was a great LGBTQIA+ romance and very sweet. So I would be very interested to see what he comes out with in the future. Oh my god, I forgot the first book that I finished. The Diviners by bday, and I'm so excited I finally checked this off. This is a long book, and it took me quite a long time to get through. This is the story of Evie O'Neill, who is growing up in New York City in sort of the like jazz age. She has been sent to live with her uncle in New York City following an incident in her hometown of like Columbus or somewhere in Ohio, and she has a like gift, a special ability, and her uncle has spent his life studying the occult and things called diviners and supernatural, paranormal events and such, and he runs a museum. They call it the Museum of the Creepy Crawlies. This is sort of like a mystery, and it's kind of a thriller. It's got some supernatural elements, like I said, also kind of historical fiction. There's like a lot going on. I felt that at some points it kind of dragged for me. It just felt like it was longer than it needed to be. However, I was really into the like thriller mystery element of it. I had no idea what was going to happen, and it was pretty creepy. I like couldn't read this before bed, which is partially why it took me so long to read. But it would just like creep me out, and I think that was super well done. Even though I didn't like adore it as much as I thought I would, I still really liked it a lot, and I gave it 4.5 stars. Just took off half a star because it did sort of drag for me in certain places, but I'm super pumped to read more in this series or continue with this series. I heard it gets very emotional, especially in the 3rd book, but yeah, I can't wait to get my hands on the rest of them. And then during Contemporary-a-thon, I was also reading a book that is very much not contemporary, A Gathering of Shadows by V.E. Schwab, the 2nd book in the Shades of Magic trilogy. And as you may know, I was a co-host for this live show, and I put this off so badly, partially because I had to finish Darker Shade of Magic, and just because I'm a bad planner. But I read this during the week of Contemporary-a-thon. I read over half of it on a plane ride. I went to Philadelphia for a wedding and had 2 plane rides to crank this out. I also annotated it, which is maybe the first time I've ever actually annotated a book. I really enjoyed reading this. I love this particular story. It has like a games element to it, which is very much like Goblet of Fire, Harry Potter, or Nevermore, and I love that story technique. You learn so much more about the magic in this world, so much more about the world itself, and like cities outside of London and other countries and such. I don't know, I love this. It also ends on a super cliffhanger, and I'm really excited to pick up A Conjuring of Light. I got it on audio from the library, so I think I'm gonna listen to it before the third and final live show, and I'm really hoping I can be there for that one. I can't remember what day it is, but I'm pretty sure I'm free. Let's hope. So yes, I loved this one. I'd probably give it between 4.5 and 5 stars. Again, Lila kind of annoyed me, but I love Bry so much, and he gets so much face time in this, so that kind of makes up for it. The next one I read was Radio Silence by Alice Oseman, and this was fantastic. I knew I was gonna love this. I picked this up for a 5-star prediction, new to me author, diversity, and it is kind of like a dark and spooky topic. It's kind of dark-ish. It's kind of a stretch, but definitely those first 3. And this is the story of Frances, who is like senior in school in the UK. She lives in Kent, England, and I realized while reading this that I know nothing about the British school system, and I was like very confused. It's like it's very confusing. Rachel Murray, the book junkie, helped me out. She tweeted me, because I tweeted, I was like, I have no idea what's happening. She responded and helped me out, so thank you to Rachel. But I loved this. It's her story of kind of like going through senior year, and she is top of her class. She's head girl. She has all these great things on her resume, and she also is a huge fangirl for this podcast called Radio Silence. And when she finds out that she knows the creator, who has always remained anonymous, she like freaks out and is so excited, and yeah, it's a really great story. There's so many layers to it. I loved reading it. I think Frances is a fantastic main character, as is Alid, the other main character that we focus on, that she is friends with. I'm, oh my gosh, so happy I read this finally. Like I said, there's a lot of diversity within it as well. Frances herself is half black and bisexual, and another character is demisexual. And yeah, it was just such a great story and so different than others that I've read. I would highly recommend this book. I gave it 5 stars because I loved it. And then the final contemporary-a-thon read that I picked up, actually listened to, is The Sun is Also a Star by Nicola Yoon. And this has orange on the cover, it's diverse, it's a new to me author. I listened to it on audiobook, so non-traditional. It just happened, like, I don't normally listen to audiobooks for books that I own. Like, if I own something, I'm gonna read it physically, but I just happened to find copies of 2 audiobooks like while I was in the middle of them, so whoops. This is about our main character Natasha and Daniel, and they kind of have a happenstance meeting, sort of a meet cute-ish. It takes place just in one day in their life, and it's a very significant day for both of them for very, very different reasons, and they end up spending the day together. So it felt a lot like they both die at the end, in that sense, that they kind of just like happened upon each other randomly and spend this day together, and it's sort of a love story, it's sort of romance. It also discusses alternate universes a lot, and that is something that I've recently realized I'm very intrigued by, so I like that aspect of it. It is really good, and it like tackles some bigger issues of like understanding multiple cultures, because both of these characters are American. They've grown up in America, but she is Jamaican, and Daniel's parents are Korean, but he was born in the US. They're both trying to sort of figure out their cultures, like both as Americans and as a Korean American and Jamaican American. So that is super interesting. I gave this 3, I would say maybe 3.5. And I think that is everything. I feel like I'm forgetting some, but it was a pretty decent reading month. I loved participating in Contemporary-a-thon. I also attempted to do Latinx-a-thon, and everything was just kind of crazy and a mess, and it ended up being really, really busy, and I wasn't connecting to some of the books that I read. However, over this last week, I did catch up on some of the other books that I wanted to read, so I did manage to complete several Latinx reads, just like the week after, so those will be in my October wrap up. That is everything. Thank you so much for watching. If you have read any of these and also enjoyed them, please comment down below, or you can chat with me some more on my social media accounts. Those are linked in the description box. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe so you don't miss out on my next video. But until then, happy reading. Bye.